Good morning, everyone. My name is Dipesh Deshmukh and I represent IBG. IBG, for people who are not familiar with us, is India Business Group. We are a chamber of commerce. The whole focus of IBG is how we can help our members get business, increase business, get some business ideas, help them connect with various companies who would like to do business with them. We are also well connected internationally. So we have several Chamber of Commerces with whom we do B2B meetings. Now these meetings, only our paid members are allowed to be a part of, and a lot of our members are getting international business as well. The founder of IBG is none other than our business guru, Mr. Vikash Mittal Sen. Vikash, I would like you to say hello to people.
Oh, hi, hello. You didn't ask me to say a few words, so I'm refraining. I'll speak at the end of this talk.
Okay.
After what I hear, really speak.
All right. And also, I would like to introduce you all to our CEO, Ms. Priya Pansare. Priya, if you can say hi to everyone.
Good morning, everyone. A very good morning, Shweta. Shweta has been a very good friend of IBG right from the inception. And today she is going to be talking on education policy, the new education policy. So let's not waste any time, and over to you, Shweta. Thanks a lot for coming.
Thank you, Priya. I also would like to acknowledge Girish and Siddhi, who are a very big part of IBG. They help our in various ways. So a very big thank you to Girish, Siddhi. And now I am very happy and excited to introduce our today's speaker. The best part is she's a very good friend of mine. She's an absolute beautiful human being, and she's fun to talk to. Now, these are some, characteristics obviously a friend will tell, but what she is I'm going to just lay down some bullet points. She's a passionate politician. She's an entrepreneur. She's a tech enthusiast. She's a blogger. She's a columnist. She's a TEDx speaker, and she also is an expert in government policies. So this tells a lot about what she is. And whenever I feel like seeing her, I just turn on the television and some channel or the other, she's there. So we are very, very fortunate and happy that she has given time to our members. A very big thank you to Shweta and a very big welcome to you. A few words you can say, and then I have some questions.
As Priya almost said it. Yes. So thank you so much, Dipesh ji. That was a wonderful introduction. And because you're a friend, I know a lot of people are going to discount 50% of it. So thanks so much for that. But let me tell you, IBG has been very, very close to my heart, like Priya said it. Because Vikash is very close to my heart, and I know how passionately he built the organization and how passionately he enjoys working for the organization. And that's how all the other members of the team are, whether it is Priya or it is you or Girish ji or anybody else. I always see this passion of networking, passion of how others will do better than what I am doing, how will people benefit from the changes that the ecosystem is happening, and how we can all be in a win-win situation is something that IBG stands for. And that is something that I firmly believe in, because entrepreneurial journey, the entrepreneurial, it's easier whether it's easy or not, and usually I know that IBG meets quite often, but you've also chosen to go virtual and start something where virtually you are meeting and standing with each other during these bad times as well. So I would again want to congratulate the entire team and Vikash. Post this, I would be waiting for you to become Arnab Goswami, Because I know you're going to throw some difficult questions at me.
Very nice to you. I'm a very nice person, okay?
Please tell me.
So the easiest question is, everyone is talking about the new education policy, and that's what we are going to discuss today. So if in brief, you can tell our people, our audience, what is the new education policy and why was the change required?
Okay, so one of the most important thing, Dipesh ji, understand, we never changed our education policy. So much so that
Shweta, we cannot
the
hear you.
ministry, is it any better now?
Yes, it's better now. Yeah.
Okay, so what I was saying was that for a country which has been independent for the last 70 years, we have never changed our education policy for the past 34 to 35 years. Second, and the most important thing is, so much so that the ministry that took care of education was called HRD ministry, not even education ministry, which is extremely important, right? So I think there was a fundamental need to change the way education was looked at in the country. Because the last, and I'm sure a lot of people who are associated and we are all come from educated backgrounds, know that the system that we were all taught in is called the Macaulay system. Now, Macaulay was an Englishman. When he established the system, he basically established the Macaulay system to ensure that Indians became good babus. And hence, rote became something which was, in our times, it was called ratification. So you would hear something like, comparisons on a daily basis. आर्ट्स तो वो बच्चे लेते हैं जो किसी काम के नहीं होते हैं. आपने रट्टा मार लिया, आप 10th कर लिया आपने, तो बस उसके बाद कुछ नहीं करना है. 12th कर लिया आपने, उसके बाद कुछ नहीं करना है. अच्छे मार्क्स आ गए, और ये मार्क्स कैसे आएंगे? These marks would come because you would wrote something, go back and vomit out something. Now, this was the Macaulay system. There was a need, inherent need to change the system to make it more research-oriented, more innovation-oriented, and more knowledge-oriented. This knowledge that we were once upon a time, we had a bandwidth of. We had a whole history and tradition of knowledge, but somehow we lost it on the way and followed the Macaulay system. Now, there was a need to modify the system. Yes, keep it modernized, but yet pick up few points which were missing in this entire thing. For example, I will give you a data point. And data point is what is most important. The top Fortune 500 companies, 35% of the world CEOs come from liberal arts background. Yet, हमारे देश में कहते थे arts वो बच्चे, humanities वो बच्चे पढ़ते हैं, psychology वो बच्चे पढ़ते हैं जो science नहीं पढ़ पाते. Now is a time and is a system where you can choose physics with humanities and chemistry with psychology, IT and computer at a very, very early age. And these are modern changes, but yet we will focus on research, we will focus on analysis, we will focus on in-depth knowledge and skill, which is critical. And that's why this change was extremely, extremely important.
All right. I mean, absolutely well laid out point, Shweta, and I totally agree with you. So in fact, I remember my days when I used to study in the US, people used to talk about India does not have research-based education or even skill-based education. So that was very unfortunate, but I'm very happy that finally the change is coming. Now, the next question is a little Arnab style question, okay? The most important change that has come under scanner is the use of mother tongue till class 5. So why is the government against English language?
Okay, so a couple of things. The moment this education policy came out, there was an outburst of people to say that mother tongue. So what does the policy say? The policy says that till class 5 or beyond, there is a need to inculcate the subjects in the mother tongue. Now, please understand that it's a established thing that the child's mental strength becomes the best when he's from 3 years age to 6 years age. Another research says that usually what happens is we are so focused on language that sometimes we forget to understand the subject. And now please go back to, say, people who are studying in RT, people in the rural areas. How much percentage of people speak English in the country? There are just about 22% people who speak English in the country. So we still have a mix of some 78%, which are different mother tongues. But yet, the government has practically said that education is a state subject. So as per state, you can decide, and it is not mandatory to go into your mother tongue. If you can decide on a mother tongue, there are 22 formal languages, Indian languages, which includes Tamil, Kannada, Telugu, Odia, Gujarati, Marathi, and so on and so forth, right? So 22 formal languages. Now, mother tongue, people have been saying, and different educationists have been coming and saying mother tongue is basically, you know, the dialect changes, this changes, that changes. We have said that these 22 languages, ये विलुप्त हो जाएंगे. And there is absolutely to teach in these languages, you are free to teach. And because education
We are losing you again, Shweta.
subject, the policy has been made at the central level, explain to the child in the medium of instruction that he is mostly understands, mostly uses at home. Now,
Shweta, you seem to be having some network issues. You're not able to hear clearly.
Please log off from the Wi-Fi.
am I back?
Yes, you're back. But your video is freezing. And so is your audio.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. So can everyone do it?
It's still bad.
Is it? Give me a second.
Yeah. Unmute.
Yes. So is it any better now?
You speak, then I'll tell you.
Okay, sorry. So yes, so that's what I was saying, that it has been a subject of the state, and hence the center has made a policy which guides them by saying that please use your own prerogative to include your mother tongue as a medium of instruction to the child. And I was basically wanting to add that one of the most important things that has been found out is that the child is so focused on language because he wants to understand English as a language, or he wrote English as a language, that he primarily forgets to understand the subject. And that is one of the reasons why research is not happening. And that is the reason why people have been asked to use the medium of instruction or the medium of understanding as his own mother tongue, so that he is more focused on understanding of the subject than understanding of the language in itself. So yes, the government is definitely not against English. In fact, English is an advantage for us globally, and we would want to keep it as a language which will be learned. But yes, I think coding is the new English. So that has been introduced at class 6. And that is what is going to give us the next edge, I think, in the world.
Amazing. Amazing. So my next question to you is, currently we are at a 10 plus 2 kind of a system. From that, we are moving to 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. So very quickly, what is this 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4? And what is the purpose? I mean, what problem does it solve?
So 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 is the same as 10 plus 2. But what used to happen was, I told you that parents की psychology होती थी, बेटा 10th pass, 10th का board is very, very important. 12th का board is very, very important. And between the 10th and the 12th, the gap was very, very small. So 5 plus 3, when they say, 5 is actually also preschool. So this is when you start at 3 years of age, you basically do, 5, which means 3 years here, and then 2 years, and then 3 years. So which means that in class 8th is going to be your first milestone, right? In class 8th is going to be your first milestone, and then 4 years on top of it. So primarily what you are saying is that the child starts his formal education in Anganwadi when he's 3 years old, right? And from there on, you will have an education system which will be free to choose subject wise and his mental age wise. Now, in your current education system, you start your formal education at 5 years age. So in class 1, you go on till class 10, then you go on plus 2, which is class 12. Right now, you will start at at the age 3, which means at preschool level, which is how today parents like you and me put their children in schools at 1.5, 2 years of age, right? Where they go to playgroup and to mother toddler sessions and so on and so forth. So preschool is something which has been brought formally into the Anganwadi and the education system. So Montessori is going to be taught because that's when child starts developing his motor skills, his cognizable skills, and that is what has been focused. So preschool, that's the reason why it says 5 plus 3 and then 3 plus 4. So the last 4 years is 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. So that last 4 years, so after 8th, he will have a gap of 4 years to understand. So now the boards, as you had called it, now there will be no boards, but that boards will be in class 8th, and then it will go on till 12th. So that 4 years, he will have a lot of time for him to choose and try various subjects. And that is when he is going to try physics and humanities and arts and chemistry and so on and so forth. So he will understand multifarious, multidisciplinary things so that while he goes into undergraduate program, he is extremely clear and still knows multidiscipline and can utilize a lot of things. For example, in today's IT era, you need a lot of psychology to understand human-computer interaction. And that is where psychology classes or humanities classes is going to help him choose his next subject in undergraduate. So this is 8th, this is 12th. So 5 plus 3, so which means that 5th class is going to be very important, 8th class is going to be very important, then 12th class is going to be very important. Till 5th, that's why they have said that the medium of instruction should be your mother tongue. From then on till 8th, if you want to keep it as mother tongue, well and good. If you don't, please start exposure to different languages and then different subjects.
Cool. I mean, you solved such a big mystery because I started getting worried about my math skills because 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 is not 12. So I was wondering कि क्या हो रहा है मेरा math का.
So the idea was KG to PG, you have to make a change.
Now I got it. Now.
I don't quite remember. I don't know if you remember that last time they had changed the undergraduate to 4 years. There was a huge amount of people who came on the roads to say, how can you change without changing the back-end school system? So hence, from preschool to high school to middle school to high school to undergrad to postgrad, everything has been changed, and that's why I think the ministry is also now changed from HRD to Education Ministry.
Thank God. So having said, I mean, so this is some major change coming up, and I'm very excited, just like other parents, because I also had issues when now my daughter's in 10th, and I'm like, don't worry about studying too much because it's not really practical. You'll never use it in your life. So I was pretty chilled. But I'm glad that now life skills are going to be taught and it will be genuinely value add to the children's life. But having said that, what is the new evaluation criteria? Has it changed?
Yeah, so one of the most important changes is the evaluation criteria. So what used to happen is scoring, was primarily आपने exam लिखा, आपने रट्टा मारा, and that is why rattafication came into, rote system came into the Macaulay system. Now, here evaluation is, so I don't know if you, and this is not included in your question, but I would want to pinpoint, one of the things which has been included is skill training from, say, class 6th. You know, so a child will be given hands-on training in class 6th. So internship is going to be included. Now, please understand that when you are evaluating a child, you need to do total evaluation, and that is where we are putting our children in an international board, because now, you know, we don't need report card, we need progress card. Right? So I've seen a lot of these parents complaining about what are the different things that my son, my teacher talks, the teacher talks about my son. I had very simple report cards jahan hum science ka number likhte the. So parents, it was very easy for parents. Now it's become very difficult for parents because there are some 200 criteria that international schools or these multi-ferrous schools talk about. Now, in a very similar manner, progress card will be kept for children, and progress card means the evaluation is going to be a totally 360-degree evaluation, which means the teachers are going to evaluate, your internship is going to be evaluated, your friends are going to evaluate you, you are also going to be evaluated on the, so there is the different line between co-curricular and extracurricular. I mean, everything is curricular. I always wondered why it was called extracurricular, because that added skill to your education, and probably music gave you more education than anything else. I used to be a big debater in my school, right? So, and it was always called extracurricular. Thankfully, I got extra marks for it. But then the fact was, I always wondered why it was called extracurricular, because it was more than curriculum. Now, these lines have been brought down. So, total evaluation, 360-degree evaluation is what the child is going to have in the form of a progress card, which is going to be technical, which means technology is going to be there. So you will have a dashboard, and so will the principal and the class teacher. So the parents are going to also evaluate the child at home and with the progress that he is doing overall in his personality.
That's nice. I mean, I'm really happy to hear the change, and it's a very necessary change. And having said that, you mentioned about skilling. That was my next question. That so from what grade the skilling will be taught, or the vocational programs? And some people are thinking that if the children learn certain skills at a very young age, child labor might increase. So I mean, I know it's silly, but I've heard in the grapevine. So if you could kindly clarify.
See, you know, whenever there is a change, you know, there are people who resist change, and people have to say something. So they practically say anything. So let's not talk about what people are saying. But then the fact is, please also understand that most of, and I have always said this, see, me and you come from entrepreneurial backgrounds, you know. I'm also an engineer. I started my career in this Swedish multinational company. And when I was in this company, I realized that a lot of these German companies, which are large conglomerates today, started in a garage, and it is family owned. And why did it start in a garage? Because Mr. X and Y, whoever, and that family name stands with the company's name, he was trying to do something in his garage, and he fumbled upon this innovation and realized that this is such a thing which can be converted into a tool or a patent. He patented that and then took it to various countries. Now, something like this has completely got lost in our times, especially in the kids of our generation. We can't use our hands to do much. So skilling was never taught to us. As I told you, the lines between co-curricular and extracurricular. So pottery, I quite remember that there was this system called SUPW, and we used to have an option of pottery there, right? I know a lot of my friends from school who are minting money by doing pottery today, but that is pottery that they learned after school. That is not something that they could learn during school. So, and the best skills can be learned when the child is young. So what this new education system is trying to do is to ensure that the child is hands-on. and also for parents to realize that it is important for children to be hands-on. I mean, it's a technology era. It is a coding era. You need to be doing everything on technology, but technology also needs you to be hands-on. Finally, if you want a technical robo to work around a gear, you need to practically understand how the gear functions. So this is what has been now imbibed into the school curriculum at a very young age, so that the child is exposed and is used to understanding that hands-on and skilling is more acceptable to the society and is something which is the usual process of learning. Now, I will want to add here that it looks great in a policy and in a policy format, but it needs to be implemented right, because even now internships in college is done just by a tick mark by many students. It is important that the implementation of the policy is what is going to take the cake away. So it is very, very critical as a society we encourage positivity while talking about these things, because ultimately when we complain that we do not get skilled laborers for our own entrepreneurial ventures, it is because somehow as a society we have looked down upon the blue collar job, whereas that is the job which gives you hands-on skills. So this is also an attempt to bring in the equality in the minds of the children, to say that hands-on is as important as hands-off.
I totally agree with you, and I'm glad the system is changing, because I remember my dad is an engineer, and I started fixing cars at a very young age. I might be in like 7th or 8th, and so today I am hands-on. I don't have to get worried if something happens to my car. Similarly, you learned. You started doing debate in school, and see what you do today.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
These skills are absolutely important, and if taught at the young age, I'm sure they'll be a blessing for our kids.
Absolutely.
So we've been talking about the till 12th grade education system. My next question to you is there any change that has been done in the higher education category?
Yeah, actually, it is the higher education level which has seen the maximum number of changes. Now let's understand that one of the most and critical things that has changed at the school level is the medium of instruction, right? Which means that we are inculcating the habit of innovation, the habit of research into the child, and trying to say that think local. It is important for you to have pride in your own language. Understanding of the subject is more critical than understanding of presentation and language of the subject, right? Post this, when you actually go to your higher education, what we see along the spectrum is a lot of these people drop off after doing 1 year of undergraduate program. So you will see a lot of dropouts after 1 year of BSc, 2 years of BSc. Another very important thing which was always there in the West, which was never there in India, was credit points. So you've studied across the globe, and you've made hundreds of people studied across the globe. In Western countries, it is always easier to get back to study because you can start off from where you left. And it is not about, and life is a continuous learning process. So in the higher education categories, two primary changes that I feel, there are a lot of changes, but two primary changes that I feel is one, you have credit points have been inculcated. So you can earn credit points, and the 4 years undergrad program has been split into 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year. So if you finish just 1 year, you will probably get a certificate and a few credit points. If you finish 2 years, you will probably get a diploma and some credit points. Even if you want to come back and finish your 3rd year, you will get a degree program on top of your diploma certificate that you've got, plus certain extra credit points. Now, these two things are very, very critical because you see, in the Western world, it is between these times that people do the maximum number of innovation. And that is what is, because this is the time when the child is exploring, he's understanding, he's trying to figure out what is it that I want to do. Now here, Dipesh, I also want to pinpoint, because most of them here listening to me are entrepreneurs. Please go back and look at China, look at Baidu, look at Alibaba, look at Ali Money. You know, these are not in English, these are in their mother tongue and are valued extremely high, right? Now, forget China. If you go and look at Rakuten in Japan, it's an e-commerce site, right? Or you look at Yandex in Russia. Yandex, I think, was last, if I quite remember, it was valued $18 billion, and it is only in Russian. Now, these are things, these are products, these are IPs which have been created by college dropouts during these times. And second, these have been created in their own mother tongue. Now, this is where research happens. And that is the target that we want to keep for India, where we want to look at the biggest market, which is going to be India, and there is no doubt in it, the biggest scale, because right now, the most innovation that is happening for 10% of India. People who can speak English, people who have access to internet, and people who have access to broadband and probably can code and understand technology. There's a whole vast 60-70% of India, which is the rural India, where innovation has still not gone. And that is the scale that for at least the next 20-25 years is going to give us the new high. And that's why all over the world, people are looking at India. And that's why TikTok was doing so well, because it was targeting rural India. And that is the kind of education that we now want to hit, and the kind of entrepreneurs that we want to build. And that is the reason why higher education has been made, I would rather use the term fluidic, so that you can gain knowledge, you can, and more importantly, in today's Google world, I think education is changing from a push education. So for us, a teacher would stand and say that this is what it is. So he would push the information into our head. Today, it is pull information. So I can pull out whatever I want to learn from the internet and learn. And hence, for this, your education policy should be a little fluidic, and that's what it has been made into.
I am so happy to hear these changes, Shweta, because the credit-based system is, an absolute must. And as you mentioned, I've studied in the US, and life becomes so easy when you want to discontinue, you want to take up a job and then again continue your education. You also mentioned about college dropouts. I know there are some multi-millionaires who are college dropouts. And then some of my friends say, you look at him, I said, but he went to Harvard and then he dropped out, So there is a small difference. Also, one thing we Indians are lacking, including me, is garages. I'm thinking if I had a garage, I would have been a multi-millionaire too.
True, hands-on.
But having said that, yes, all the changes that you mentioned are absolutely necessary for Indian education system. And I'm very happy to see that these changes the government is doing. And my final question to you is that education for all, is that going to be a reality?
So your guess is going to be as good as mine in this. But I'm an advertent optimist. And I also believe in the vision of Shri Narendra Modi. So everything he has said has become a reality today. So, and I don't want to name what all he has said and what all he has turned into reality. So when he says that 2030, we want education for all, I think we can definitely reach that. And education today is also transforming into various formats of education. So it is not only the bookish education that we are talking about. Also, we are now utilizing different mediums to reach out to people and to reach out to more and more people. So I think, yes, I don't have a single penny of a doubt which says that, yes, it is not going to be a reality. But I firmly believe that each one of us has to contribute in this large dream, because this is the dream which is going to be extremely essential for us to create the India of tomorrow. The India of tomorrow, which is going to be a superpower, the India of tomorrow, which is going to be based on its own knowledge, the India of tomorrow, which is going to give and show the way to the world with its innovation, the India of tomorrow, which is going to be built on the shoulders of the young entrepreneurs of tomorrow. Now, if this is the dream that we are all seeing, I think we will have to contribute by educating ourselves first, in believing in the country and the education system, by becoming entrepreneurs, by supporting education, and by ensuring that education somewhere is spread into wide corners because of our efforts too. So that's all I will have to say on this. And I'm sure this is a brilliant platform where, if taken upon by each person, they can really spread it to various corners. Now, how and what of it is for each one of us to realize. But what I want to say is, education for all is not going to be a reality until you go yourself and say that because I owe this to my education and to my country, this is not going to be a reality.
Wow, absolutely. I mean, well said. And I'm speechless. I'm just thinking. Shweta, is it okay if we open the platform to some Q&A, because people have a lot of questions?
Please. I can see a lot of questions in the chat box.
I'll take some questions and I will ask you. That'll be easier.
Yeah.
So one question is, how well various state governments have been consulted and they are on board for implementing NEP?
Great, good question. So this policy has been since 1992. This policy has been wanting, so various governments have tried to change this policy, but nobody wanted to change this policy in toto. Second, for the past year, this policy framework was uploaded on the internet for various comments from various stakeholders. So you'll be surprised, and I was surprised too, 40,000 different people wrote to the ministry to say that these are the various changes that you must inculcate. And that's when the final policy has come out now. So yes, not only have state governments been consulted, I think normal, common people have been consulted. People have given their opinions on this education policy. And yet, I personally feel that this is a government which is open to feedback. There is a feedback loop mechanism which has been set. I firmly believe that any change takes a lot of effort and a lot of time. But change is essential, because that is the only thing which is constant and which is the only thing which can take us forward. So even if you feel that there is something that you need to add, if there is a feedback that needs to be given, please do forward the feedback, because we are still looking at feedback and the changes that we can do at the implementation level, more at the implementation level. At a policy level, I firmly believe that a lot has been discussed and a lot has been included into the framework. Yet we are open, and we will definitely be open to feedback and changes.
Cool. The next question is, how can we include immersive activities and educational tours in the new education policy? We have been pioneers in education tourism since 25 years and know that a lot of learning can be imparted in children.
Yes, fantastic. So one of the things which have been included already is agri-tourism, right? Which is going to give a lot of focus into actual hands-on in the rural sector. But yes, a lot of talk has been going around inculcating astronomical classes. We are also talking to NASA to get one of their educational centers into India. See, the coming times are going to be very different. Most of these foreign universities are going to come into India and establish their centers here. So you need to understand that immersive tools are going to be very, very critical, and there is no stopping by. What is most important is, as an entrepreneur, if you can build something which is very, very Indian and something which is used exclusively for the Indian mind by the local things available, which we are completely used to, that is going to add the edge. And that is why still, and yet, we still don't have a preschool sector which is based on our own inherent knowledge. We have the Montessori, we have the preschooling structures which are based on international curriculum, which is UK based, which is European based, but yet Sanskrit-based, Shlok-based learning, which now the Germans are trying, because Sanskrit is something which now people have figured out that when a child learns Shlok, जब हम ओम भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यम बोलते हैं, तो जितना आप साफ बोलते हो उतना आप टंग ट्विस्टिंग करते हो और उतनी आपकी भाषा साफ होती है. So now the Germans have realized this, they have researched on this, then they have inculcated this curriculum inside. So as entrepreneurs, I would just say that if we can get something unique based on our own local culture, I think that is going to really be the icing on the cake. And that's what as entrepreneurs we must build today. As far as tools which are easily available in the market are concerned, they are something which are already being conceived and are being consulted various levels in the ministry right now.
All right, all right. The next question is, in which standard vocational subjects will be introduced?
6th class.
6th class.
6th class.
Are schools prepared with well-qualified teachers? Now, this has been always a challenge, and I'm sure it's not an easy challenge to overcome, but your comments.
Yes. So I think in the entire challenge, I think this is the biggest challenge. And this is the biggest challenge is because, you know, unfortunately, politician का बेटा politician बन जाता है, डॉक्टर का बेटा डॉक्टर बन जाता है, you know, दो ऐसे you know sectors हैं जिसमें the next generation does not want to get into the same sector. One is farming, शेतकरी का बेटा शेतकरी बिल्कुल नहीं बनना चाहता है, और दूसरा टीचर का बेटा टीचर नहीं बनना चाहता है. I think it has also to do with our social structures where we do not look upon. If my child comes back and tells me that I want to become a teacher, somehow I don't look at it with the regard that I should look at a teacher as. And that's because one, teacher is not so well paying right now, and second, the best of the lot do not become teachers. And that's where I think a lot needs to change there. And the biggest change is the behavioral change, social change, which is going to take a lot of time. And it is the teachers that actually build the future of India, not the mothers. Of course, the mothers do it, but the teachers make, I mean, your child is with the teacher for a very, very long time. So, but unfortunately, this will take some time. The set of teachers that we have are not trained, they are not ready, and that is going to be a parallel challenge to actually make them up to mark. So that is the reason why I have been talking about implementation challenges. So as the policy, it is perfect. But when you take it to the implementation level, who is going to take it? Your state government is going to take it. Your teachers are going to take it. And if they are not intentionally or non-intentionally, skill by skill, trained to do the right implementation, nothing's really going to happen in reality. And hence, as people, as citizens, as entrepreneurs, we need to guide them to ensure that this social change happens and this peer pressure remains, so that education in the country really changes.
Yes, I know it's a challenge, and I'm sure we'll figure out a way of overcoming it.
No, the only way, Dipeshji, is finally, you know, a lot of people from my generation now want to retire at 40. You know, and I've been saying that, yes, fantastic. You've gone to the US, you've made your money, you've become an entrepreneur, you've exited companies, but what you've not done in your life is teach for free. So, you know, post your retirement, go back and teach at least a few children. And that's the reason why I told you that this is a platform where I feel that we must all vow to ourselves that in this education for all, I am going to also contribute. So until this happens, until we take pride in saying that, yes, I taught a few people and I actually gave my time and skill for it, it's not going to happen.
Very true. Can we introduce, next question, sorry. Can we introduce the next study, introduce a study of Indian Constitution compulsory with the duty of responsible citizen as a special focus at early stage? We have civics, right? And to
Whose
some
question
extent,
is this, by the way? Whose question is this?
Nayan Rawal.
Okay. Rawal ji, thank you so much. I always say this, that जब हम 18 साल के होते हैं तो हम कह देते हैं कि अब आपको voting rights आनी चाहिए. लेकिन at that point of time, we have no understanding of the politics and the civics of the system. Yes, we study civics, but we know nothing about constitution. We don't know nothing about the rights as a citizen that we have. And most of our knowledge is through media, which is pretty biased today. So again, I really like the idea, and this was an idea which was considered as a skill, imparting the skill of studying constitution. And there are lawyers who study constitution for 5 years, and they become constitution lawyers. So a lot of these people who are part of the board also said, through Niti Aayog, I was also part of a couple of meetings of the NEP in the early stages. And I can tell you that most of these constitution lawyers feel that you can only study constitution once you are a particular age, right? But I firmly believe you, and I have been talking to a lot of people whom I say that as entrepreneurs, you must come out with a curriculum for from class 5 or 6 for that age group and that mental ability to, as civics, to understand their fundamental right of what a citizen should have and the responsibility of what the citizen should give back at that age. So yes, I think Mr. Rahul, it should start with you. If you can come up with a curriculum, I can vouch for it that I'll stand up for it till Nishank ji and take it for it to be implemented for sure.
Awesome, awesome, very nice. There are a lot of questions pouring in, and we are running short of time. So I'm going to take this one last question, and then few questions we will send them to you, and we can answer them on your behalf. In cities like Mumbai, where there are multilingual, inter-community, inter-caste marriages, what happens to the children? Which language should they opt for as the mother's tongue, right? Should they use any common language, English? Okay.
So, see, I'll tell you this. Again, it's a good question, but please understand this, that, for example, if you look at RTE students today, right? Now, RTE has been extended till class 10, till class 12. RTE students, or forget the RTE students, look at all your migrant laborers. They come from UP, they come from Bihar, they speak a certain language. When they come here, they put their children into Zilla Parishad schools or government schools in local schools, which teach Marathi, and their children pick up Marathi. And it's a good skill set, because when they go back home, they speak whichever language is their mother tongue. So they speak Bhojpuri at their home, but when they go to school, they speak fluent Marathi. And that's how Indian society is built. And that is how Indians, I feel the Indian gene is so smarter, because our dialect changes every 30 kilometers, right? Our traditions change, but the main fiber remains the same. So just to answer your question, I think mother tongue is the tongue which is spoken at home. So I'm sure that is one language that the parents decide to speak with the children. And if they don't, there is a language which the state has chosen as the maximum number of people which are speaking. So such families, like they are multi-talented and multi-traditional, I think they should be multilingual. The more languages the child learns, the better his cognizable skills are. So I think such families should be just happier that the child will learn much more languages. He will be multidisciplinary, if not multilingual. And I can tell you these children are much sharper, right? So let's forget the mother tongue. I mean, there is no formal definition to mother tongue. The fact is, the language that the state picks up as the maximum number of people that speak that language in that state is something that is your mother tongue. And I have told you that Constitution recognizes 22 different languages that India has, and these 22 languages are allowed in school. The problem is, I was on a debate with somebody the other day, and she was an educationist, and it's so sad to say she was, I don't want to name her or the school that she belonged to, but she practically said that now that English is not going to be taught, what about literature? How will we teach literature to our children? I mean, God forbid, please understand, Bengali, the entire Rabindra Sangeet is written in Bangla. Marathi, the entire Dhyan Prabodhini is written in Marathi. you know. So you go to Tamil, you have the best of the poets written in Tamil, you know, and so and so forth. So every language has literature, and these languages will die if we don't teach our children. So the whole idea is to build a culture where you are not shameful that you don't know English, you know. Today, today we have a culture where we feel that if a person does not speak English, then he can be looked down upon. Tomorrow, English is going to be essential. But if you are innovating in Hindi or in Sanskrit or in Uriya or in Tamil, you are going to be seen much higher up in the society than anything else, because you are an innovator, innovating for your own people, for your own country, which is the most important, because for your contribution, India is going to go forward.
Awesome. Great thoughts, Shweta. And with that, I know we have ran out of time, so I will have to not take any more questions. And before we say goodbye, I would like to invite our president, Mr. Vikash Vittasen, to give his closing remarks. Vikash, over to you.
Thank you, Dipesh. Allow me to speak for 5 minutes. So I don't do that normally, because I have two suggestions coming off the policy that has now just come out. The first one, and it is coming out of my own life. That is why this experience. I have tried not umpteen times. I have tried to get into the program. There are noises coming from the side. I tried 2-3 times. I went to Mumbai University to try to get into a PhD schedule. My background is that I was not good at studies. I used to like science. So my dad had given me a basement in Sangli. Do what you want, and I had built an electric room, a physics room, and many such things in practical things. But I failed in the 11th, so I was sent away to Sangli to do whatever I wanted. I joined Walton College. Because my marks were not good enough, I could not get into an engineering program. I had to do a diploma. Now at that time, I just wanted to get into any college. So I did diploma. Now, at this point of time, when I wanted 5 years back or 10 years back to get into a PhD program, they told me on my face that you are an uneducated man. Now, I spent so much time. I am more practically educated than most people that I know. So there is a flaw in this system. Why can I not join? Why there should not be a system of evaluating me not now than my past? Because at that point, I didn't know that I want to do PhD. They told me, please go and do first a bachelor, then they said you would need to do a master's, and then only you can enroll. So I think this needs a bit of tweaking. That anybody capable to do a PhD should be allowed to do some sort of evaluation can be there. That's one thing. The second point is I get invited time and again to speak at management colleges, and I love to do that because I love to interact with students. My suggestion is that why don't people like me are allowed a professional position in colleges where we actually take classes and formally recognize as teachers. So we are teaching, I mean, we are capable of teaching, real life teaching. Most of the studies, the teachers who teach are teaching out of a book. We are teaching out of real life experiences. So these are two suggestions which I would like to tell Shalini ji to think whether it's worth considering. That's it from me.
All right. Thank you so much, Vikash. And on behalf of everyone here, a very big thank you to Shweta. Thanks for taking out your valuable time and spending this time with us and giving us so much more to know about what exciting changes are coming up in the education system. We are all excited and absolutely looking forward so that our children will benefit from all these new policies that are coming out. So a big thank you once again, Shweta. It was great to host you. You're on mute.
Thank you so much, Dipesh ji. I think I loved it. And as usual, I think with the host of questions that I can see, people were involved. IBG platform has always been my favorite. Because thank you for building this. And I'm just one call away whenever you want me back.
Wow,
Certainly. Thank you, Shweta. Thank you. Bye, guys. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.